Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have the top 16 deck list for the Latin American 2022 Dragon Ball Super National Championships, which happened not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I wanted to make this video a lot earlier, but I just got access to the deck list and to make this chart and all the graphics and the importing all the deck lists too, which did take a bit of time. So one big shout outs to, I'm going to make sure I get the name right. Probably not going to pronounce it right, but I'm going to say it. It's Danilo Nuñez Bettancourt for giving me the list to give to you guys. I would not be able to make this video without them. And then also, if you guys appreciate this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I have everything here, and I put every one of the lists into DBS Deck Planets myself, just because, honestly, some of the pictures weren't great. So I think that would be very helpful for anyone who wants these lists, and I'd really super appreciate it. So going over this event, we do see this top 16 of 4 Red Syn 3 Super Saiyan God Gokus, 3 of the Super Saiyan 4 Gokus and Vegetas, a Trunks and Vegeta, a Gotenks Reboot, a Blue Dende, a Gamma, a BT2 Vegito, and an Ultimate Deck Cell. So honestly, it's looking a little bit kind of how the North American Nats ended as well. 3 Super Saiyan God Gokus in the top 3 is really, really funny to me, just seeing this deck still dominate out of pretty much the start of the set, just being like one of the best decks in the, I'm going to actually say it's probably like the best deck right now. Of course, you have to be super good at it. There's a lot of interaction with it. You do have to make sure you sequence everything correctly, but it is, I think, the best deck in the best hands right now. So getting those top 3 spots is really interesting, but we do see some kind of interesting tops out of some, I'd say, atypical lists as well. There's a Trunks and Vegeta, there's a Gotenks Reboot as well, which again, like this is like North America, we had 1 of each for this, so we did get like, but we had 2 green decks in this top 16 because we did get an Ultimate Deck Cell as well. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about the decks. So we're going to start off with the first place list of the Super Saiyan God Goku. Starting off, we have Tomas Alvarez's first place Super Saiyan God Son Goku Crimson Warrior. And this is like the 3rd Nationals in a row that I've covered that has a Goku in the finals and win it. So we had North American Nationals. Obviously, it was a mirror match. We had the Oceania one where it was against Green Cooler, and then another mirror match in this one as well. And just really interesting to see, again, that this is just such a consistent list, and that it's been, one event, a fluke, 2 events, okay, something, but 3 events pretty much in a row, like national level events where it's been able to top and win is spectacular. And just not just like one of get to the top, but just be pretty much one of the largest slices of each pie for one of those top 16. So really interesting to see that, and it's still continuing to be the case. I've put in a lot of these deck lists, honestly, in the past couple of weeks. So some kind of choice cards that I've seen, at least in this main deck, is that obviously I think one of the bigger things is what's your secret rare. I think there's like 3 viable choices for you right now. Beyond the Ultimate is great. Just the fact that it also has some potential for burn damage is really strong for you there too. Also adding the harness power of the Vegeta in this main as well. A lot of people just using Videl, but I think Vegeta is a good card for it there. And then pretty much most of this other stuff I'd say is pretty standard. I mean, a lot of it is like boilerplate blue stuff that you have, like the Pan Piccolo package is really strong. Black Smoke Dragon is great in this deck because you have so much flexibility with your energy. Deciding no leader in this one, but going Son Goku Stronger together. And there's a little bit of like hand destruction hate in this, but like, Protector of People at 3 too, which is quite interesting there as well. But nothing, I don't know. It's been pretty standardized in my mind. I can pretty much, I've imported so many of these decks in the last couple of weeks that I pretty much know the base formula for a lot of it. There's obviously some ratios you can tweak and make your choices, but this deck is strong, and I hope you guys have figured this out by now, and if you've gone one thing from it. The other thing is that this is a 60-card build, which is fine. I don't think you're really punished for going 60 with this. And then also, like, Majin Buu is your unison if you want it. I don't think Majin Buu is as good if green gets better, then Majin Buu is really bad, because the Son Goku rare is really, really good. But I did it's what we've been seeing. It's good, and just big congrats to Tomas for their finish. I also want to look at Marcelo's the second place list, just because it did have a lot of it was the Invoker Burn version, which we saw here in the States as well, get a top 8 finish. So I think that's really, really cool that it did well again at another one of these Nats. So this is, I've seen it from Frisco Foz. He's been someone who's been on Invoker on pretty much any leader that he isn't Invoker as much as he can. And just a lot of cool combos. Like, obviously the big play is that you can do the Ultra Instincts on Goku. You get 3 energy untap. And then with that, you can get the Beyond Ultimate, which lets you do an extra damage. And then you just get to do a lot of damage throughout the turn with all these abilities. So it's very, very strong for that. And a big kind of pick that I saw is a Super Pycon True Mastery as your Unison. So it has Rejuvenate, which might be important. I don't know if it is something, but it is like a good Unison for 2 that you're able to just put a lot of markers on pretty quickly, because it is a +2 of just looking at top 5, place 1 blue among them to your drop, then shuffle your deck, which is really, really good for this deck. Just because you want to get those blue cards in your drop anyways for your Leader Awakening. So in general, like, this seems like a really good Unison for all the synergies you have for it. Then +0, you can draw 1, then place 1 card from your hand underneath this card, which just means that if you are able to, like, Rejuvenation is not too crazy for this deck, but also just being able to have a 4 marker Unison on turn 2 is good still. So I think that's great for the deck, and there's only really big positives for it. So I do like that ad for it. And this one just came out, right? This was from BT18. Yeah, I think it's a Unison that should be looked at a little bit more in this archetype. It helps it out a lot. So other than that, just kind of the basic stuff that we've been seeing for a mix of the Crimson Warrior stuff, and then also the red blue stuff. We were also running Defender of Life because that's just how you get your opponent down to 3. You Defender of Life, which for 2 is just nothing. You don't really care about that, and then you're able to get some additional value off the rest of the cards you have, and it just really works out. So I don't have much more than that. So yep, just big congrats to Marcelo for their 2nd place finish with this build. And then next up, we're going to go to, man, all these are probably looking low at the bottom here, but we have 4th place is Enrique Martinez, Red Syn, and obviously I think Syn has been doing really good. I'm making a video going over all of the world's finishes, and so Red Syn has gone 3 of the 7 spots that we have from nationals. We've had 3 Super Saiyan God Gokus, and 3 of them being Red Syn. 2 of them before BT19 came out, and then the last one is a Gamma as well. But man, it is still really, really good. It's a brutally good deck. It's very economical for what it does. You get a lot of card draw, you get a lot of pressure, and Red's, like, giving something minus power is the best form of removal in the game for a lot of reasons. So it just has like removal just for playing the deck, and it's great. I don't have a lot more. I've been talking about this deck for a week. I mean, if I could get my Nationals invite with a Red Syn deck, you know that it's a good deck, because I am trash at times. So Face of the Aandroidd Terror is a new card. It's okay for what it is. I think red, like, other colors got better ones, but I think yellow is probably the worst. Yellow and black are not as good as like the blue and green ones, but red's just kind of in the territory for that's kind of good too. And then Dispo, just a free counter if you need to, which is great. Spirit Boost 2 means nothing when you have a Unison that they gave a +2 for some reason. Like, this Gogeta is still so stupid. It's a stupidly good card. And I don't have much more to say about that. Most of this deck is just understood to be good. I think we all understand that. So big congrats to, let me get the name right, to Enrique for their finish. I did also want to quickly go over another one. Yeah, we're all going to start at the bottom each one of these. Sorry. It is Ismael's 16th place, or top 16 rather. He's running the red-blue variant, and I've seen this before, at least at the, I believe it's the Kansas City Collecticon. It got a top placing finish there too. But there are some really kind of neat things you get to do with this deck, on top of just having like a lot of red-blue and being able to, like, Bean is obviously not as good as it was back in September because you can't use it aggressively, but it's still really nice on like some potential defensive stuff you need, which just means like you can go as aggressively as you want, and then afterwards you can just Beerus into cooler, and then you're just fine and you're in a really good spot. So you have to use one turn for Mecha Frieza, and I'm surprised that you're not running any like, I guess you can't run any blue Z battle cards. Yeah, actually you can. You can run blue Z battle cards because of surmounting. So I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if there's anything like really good. I don't think you're getting 3 for Cell, but that's just an option for you. I guess you could run Goku, and if you have like a bean that's stuck in your hand, you get to draw another card and get crit. So I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I just want to mention this because it's cool. And obviously we've seen like the red-yellow builds, and I don't think any of the red-yellow builds did top for this event, but a red-blue one is also really cool. I like what it does for it, and I think I just want to point it out. So congrats to Ismael for their finish. And then going up next, we have Felipe with their top 8 Trunks and Vegeta. Again, we've been seeing Trunks and Vegeta doing well at the North American one because we got one into the Muxit got, I believe, top 4, right? I believe got top 4. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but really weird that obviously this deck is doing great right now for one person per event. But it does get a lot of great advancements from the Zenkai block, pretty much Oolong, but it's really great. So we see 2 Oolongs, 2 Mirror, 2 Champas, and then a couple of Swift Retaliation Coolers. So a lot of ways to kind of end the game, which is really strong. And this deck is really good at drawing a lot of cards and then just like not dying for a lot of turns, right? It doesn't have a really great way to try to end the game. Anyways, like they are running one of these 8-drop, which does stuff sometimes, but it's not fantastic. And like the only kind of other thing is like this deck doesn't like pressure and chip away life damage very quickly, at least. But I think that's fine. Lord Slug package still really great for what it is. Vegeta Father Encouragement is great for your blockers. And I don't have much more than that. No unisons in this main board. I think that's standard now with the hate for you. They're just too slow and too inflexible for what we're kind of needing to see at times, and that kind of thing. So we do see it in the side if needed, but I think that unisons are not needed in Vegeta and Trunks as much as they have been, especially with more unison hate coming out. So I think it's important. So anyways, congrats to Felipe for their finish there. And then next up we have Jerson with their top 8 Gotenks, and we did see Gotenks as well. Shout outs to Andrew Klinger for their finish with Gotenks on here. And honestly, the three decks that are I did an interview for. The only thing we're missing is Blue Bears, right? The big decks that I interviewed for my Nats, from the Nats in North America, is that there's Gotenks, which I did an interview and got top here, and then also there was the Frisco Foz with his Invoker version. So I think those are really in my mind, and it's really interesting to see them top. But I mention it too because this Gotenks is vastly different as from a lot of conceptual from Andrew Klinger's version, which is interesting. So the big differences that I see is that they're running like the Super Saiyan and Gotenks Beyond Sirius, which is a union for 1. Activate main once per turn, and I think this it does come from the start deck. If your leader's green has Gotenks in his character name and you remove 1 ghost token from the game, you get to draw 1 and then choose 1. KO one of your opponent's battle cards, or choose one of your opponent's unisons and remove a marker from it, which is kind of comparable, but like just I guess as another version of Union Fusion if you want to. They're also running both unisons, so 2 of the Super Saiyan 3 Vegetos, which I think they can be strong. Obviously, it does nothing after you actually play it. Like drawing an extra card per turn, I think is strong, but this does kind of the same thing where it gets a marker twice per turn, and then also helps you facilitate your plays. So I've finally kind of turned the corner of like Gogeta is now definitely better, but I don't think like Vegeta is wrong, especially since we are running the Trunks Bonds of Friendship, which does let you get like some free +1s if you're playing them, so that's good. The other thing is that they're using the Cell Xeno as the secret rare instead of the Cell Max that Aandroidd used, and I think both are valid 100%. Being able to get to 5 energy with this deck, I don't think is too crazy in today's environment either. Gohan is like the best God rare, the Sun Gohan rare that we have. It's very, very good, and anything it just drops unison for 1 energy. It's crazy how good it is in that way. And then also it could just be a 25k, crit if you need to. So I think that's good there. And then when you KO something, it KOs it, and then it has protection like it's better than barrier most of the time. So I think that's really good. Nothing too else from there. You're a little bit locked into some linear plays with this deck because you kind of have to do Union Fusions and you have to use your Gotenks to do it. But I really do like this deck. I think it's the best green deck right now, which isn't saying much, I know, but I think it is still really good. I think everything else is more or less pretty standard from there. So big congrats to Jerson for making sure that green is represented in this top 16 and Gotenks as well. And next up, we're going to go to our top 8. This is Goku and Vegeta. I don't have a lot to say about Goku and Vegeta. Just like Red Syn, it is just such an aggressive powerhouse. I still think Red Syn is still a little bit better than this deck. I think this one is a little bit less flexible, and at least like the big floodgates, or like the big plays, are a little bit more telegraphed as well, and you can play around them maybe a little bit easier, or at least you have to put a lot of investment for your big plays, where Syn can just be like, oh, well, I put a little bit of investment. If you stop my one big play, I can still do a couple minor plays. This deck, you're kind of just locked into either going into your big 8-drop and spending 4 energy for it, or just kind of whittling him down with a bunch of like smaller attacks and just getting a lot of advantage. So I do think Goku and Vegeta is better at just getting a lot of card advantage in general, but I still like Red Syn a little bit more, though. I don't know. Red's just good right now. We all know that. That's not a hot take. It's just really great. Even though it's not winning as many events as Super Saiyan God Goku, at least past BT19 being released, it is still in a really, really good spot. So I don't have a lot to say about this deck, but just big congrats to, let me get the Juan Soto for their top 8 finish there. So we got a couple more decks. These are in this all top 16 finishes. So next up we have Alex Cabrera's top 16. Dende Wish, Blue Dende Wish, Goku, Blue Dende Wish. I think I named it Blue Dende Wish, but you guys know the one. It's an actual Wish deck, and it's really, really cool. There's a lot of cool synergies for it. And shoutouts to Aandroidd for, he made this a Theorycraft video for this a while ago. I'm not sure if Axel was inspired by it. I have no idea, but it was also on North American Nat stream. It was really, really cool to see the deck in action, and I made fun that it was unique there, but it was mostly because I know Aandroidd was listening. So he's definitely has a lot invested in this deck, and it's really, really fun and really cool. And the short answer for how this deck works is that you try to get out a bunch of these Majin Defiers, West Supreme Kais, which you can do off of just playing them for real, or using the Assembling the Squad. And if you're able to use Assembling the Squad like on turn 2 before you use your Wish, you're able to use this effect to get one out, and then you're able to Wish, get the Assembling the Squad out of your drop, put it back in your hand, and then play it for free to play another one. And then with all that combined, you're able to help play the 6-drop Vegeta for lesser, which means you get to ramp 4 energy up. And once you get to do that, you get to do some cool plays where your Son Goku energy resort. You get to do the ultimate Wish, draw 2, untap 2. And then after that, you can go into the Z leader and not have to unflip or unwish or whatever the terminology is for it anymore. So, which means you have a 20k crit double strike leader. You normally have like 4+ life. You have to be at 3 or less life for this. You make sure you don't wish without recognizing that, but it's very strong, and you get to do a lot of pressure with this. And then you have a double strike crit leader, and then you have, if you drop Aandroidd 17, Turning the Tide, you get to do 3 damage, and your opponent really can't do anything about it if they don't have a board established, which most of the time they won't. So I think that is really strong for the game. Only other thing is that Secret Rare can be hatched. I kind of like having the Beast Gohan as well. I think that could be something good. Or just the Kaioken Goku. I think all of that could be really strong for the... I think hatch is probably a safe, but probably weakest choice for this deck. I think the other 2 blue Secret Rares are contenders for this deck as well. Especially since you just have a lot of inherent defensive capabilities for this deck, and you're not really going too wide on your board because you're just trying to slowly get these Majin Defiers, and I think that's strong. But anyways, congrats to Axel for their finish there. I like this deck a lot. It seems really broken sometimes. Sometimes your opponent doesn't get to play the game, and that's fun. It's good. Not fun for your opponent, but feels really strong at the right hand. So big congrats there as well. 2 more left. We do have the Gamma, and so it is Alejandro J. Silva's top 16 Gamma. And Gamma's, I think, before we knew how good Super Saiyan God Goku was probably the default best blue deck for a lot of people. Obviously, it did win European Nationals in a BT18 meta, and so it's still really good here. We do have some neat little techs like this Son Gohan, Power and Shackled for it, and but most of the lists that I've been seeing top are going really, really conservative with their ratios of just having only blue androids, not kind of messing around with anything new there. Not even, this list isn't even running the Son Gohan rare, which you can play in this build because it has an energy cost of 8 or higher, which means that you are able to use the effects to get around this auto. This auto says non-android skills with energy cost 7 or less. The Gohan's an 8 cost, so you can use that effect there. So that's one card I would think that you would maybe put in this, especially because it's on blue color too, but I'll digress there. The Scientist Food is a really interesting choice. As like it's for 1 energy, draw 2, 25k. I think that's fine. You do have to warp your entire drop, which isn't too big as long as you have like some Android 17, 18 like backup targets for that. But I don't know. I still like Gamma. I think it's like the fairest version of like SS3 Reboot, like an SS3 deck that we've seen, and I like the theming and stuff. And I don't have much more than that. It's very kind of known how this deck works and how it functions, but I think it's still really good. So big congrats to Alejandro on their finish there. And to wrap us up, we do have our ultimate life form return cell. That is not the order of the name. It is cell return of the ultimate life form. I am very tired. We're gonna get through this though. I like this deck. I like green. I like cell. I think that's all pretty understood from me, but this is a weird list. I'm gonna say it right. Like, it is very weird for a lot of this. It's not running nearly anything new. Like, without knowing their history, this is also Sebastian Garcia's. This is Sebastian Garcia's list. What's the newest card? Is there anything Zenkai related? Like, we have Z deck, but then everything else is what? And then this promo is Zenkai, but this straight up looks like a BT like 17, Ultimate Deck Cell list that they brought to this tournament and still ended up top 16 with it, which is crazy insane if that's the truth, because nothing new. We're not even running the new Gohans, which I think are just great for this deck. I'm very surprised to not see those honestly, but okay, I guess the Faded Rival is also new, but those are like the two techs for it. And I think that's very, very interesting that it did not. Like that's the build for this list. But honestly, a lot of decks aren't really prepared for hand destruction. Hand destruction is not really meta right now, or like the pressure from all the crits and stuff. And a lot of decks are getting really greedy with letting them set up and stuff. So I think it is a little warranted with that. I mean, obviously, you're running 4 Earth Destroying Kamehamehas and 4 Champas Destroys. Like, these are greedy cards. And then your super combo is also Vegeta the Lone Prince as well. So a lot of really greedy plays from this list of just hard hand destruction. And then we do also have the Fuse Zamasu, which you're able to, Kaioken, for 1, make them discard a card, hit for 15k crit, and then you're able to go into Fuse Zamasu. So for 2, you're making them, discard 2 cards and do a 15k crit and a 20k regular swing. So that's still pretty good value for what we're doing. And I think that's about it for this. I don't know. Hand destruction is in a really weird spot. I am not too surprised it got a top, but again, this is a Hail Mary of a finish for this deck, I think, and I think that's really cool. So congrats to Sebastian there. I'm happy to see it get a top. And that is going to be it for us today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Again, if you made it this far in the video and you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, please do that for me. I would really appreciate it. I spent a lot of time getting these lists and making them presentable and just organize them for you all, and mean a lot to me. So that's going to be it for us. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.